Remember this beast? The server I have set up like around 1 year ago with my crypto projects like Chia mining, SC Prime, and nowadays Presearch? Well, as you can see, it's on my desk. And that means that there is something wrong with the server and I have to troubleshoot it. I actually already did it, and in this video I will share what 2 steps you should take to avoid your server crashing down. Hello everyone, my name is Andrew, and as you can see, my server is on my desk. Well, if you know, the servers should not be on the desk with the cables coming from another room and another cable connecting to the monitor. No. The servers should be somewhere in the corner, most likely and most usually some dark corner, dark room, server room with good ventilation, and so on and so on. If a server is here and like this, that means that there is most likely something wrong or it should be updated, upgraded. In my case, it was something wrong with the server. In short, it crashed and stopped working. Obviously, if a server is working, I can't connect to it remotely anymore and I can't do anything like fixing and so on. That's why it's here, on my table again. So, in this video, I will share 2 main things what you should do to avoid or fix your server issues if it crashes unexpectedly. In my case, it was a different issue. I had a battery issue and my BIOS resetted and Windows started to load from the drive where Windows is not installed. It can be like that as well. So I have created a separate video about that. Link in the description, clink. You can find it, you can see it, everything is very simple, quite simple, but while trying to troubleshoot and figure out what the heck has happened, I thought of 2 things that everyone should do in their server to prevent or quickly fix the issue if server crashes. So advice number 1 is to update your Windows at least every couple of months, because updates, well, they might crash your system. Now you might say, wait, Windows updates automatically, so what kind of stuff I should do? It updates and so on. Yes, it updates, but if you have a server like this, like I do, and you probably know that if Windows updates, it will restart. And this is the worst nightmare for the server to be restarted, especially if you have a simple Windows distribution like Windows 10, 11 or something like that, not the Windows Server. Windows Server, everything will be okay, they will not restart, that system is solid, it will not restart. But if you have a simple home or professional system, like for example on this server, it was free with the server, so I just use it. Why to pay more money to buy server distribution if I can use the one that was provided with the server? Obviously. But Windows updates is the knife through your throat if you have a server like this. Why? Like I said before, if we install updates automatically, most likely after a day or 2 or more, it will restart the system and all your projects will go down. SC Prime, Chia, Presearch, okay, some of them will start automatically and everything is fine, but for some others you might need to press that magic button or to type the password or something like that. That's why we don't want the updates to be running automatically, installing automatically, and most horrible thing that could happen, restarting your computer automatically. No, we don't want that. That's why you should disable your Windows updates and then check the updates from time to time, because Windows 10 has some kind of miserable behavior when it might crash if it don't get the latest updates or some kind of other updates. Because when my computer server crashed, I found information about that. So this is what I recommend you. Update your computer every month or 2 or 3 or something like that. Now you might ask, okay, that's a good idea. He's talking about the stopping updates ultimately. How to do that? Let's see how to do that. So if you want to turn off the updates completely, press start on your computer and type services.msc. Great, not services, but services. So we have all kind of options in here. Find Windows Update Service, double click on it, startup type, choose manual or disabled. So in this case I'm gonna leave manual, but basically you can press disable as well. In this case you can see that status is stopped, and that means that none of the updates will be downloaded or installed on your machine until the time you go and check the updates by yourself. In case if you're not familiar how to do it, just press start, type updates, you will get a message check for updates right away. Settings page will load up and you will get a message check for updates. In my case, it's saying you're up to date because, well, just a couple hours ago I have updated and downloaded, installed all the updates required for my computer. So first thing is quite simple, I guess, right? Just check the updates, disable them and update from time to time. For the second thing, I recommend you to make a copy of your Windows drive, hard disk, to have it on the other disk as well, because the hard disk or SSD disk might crash itself, because usually they have some kind of lifetime and so on. So I really recommend you to make a copy and make it from time to time. Have it on a hard disk that you are not using too often, so that you could take it, use it, or maybe copy to a new drive from that disk. So in this case I'm using Macrium Reflect software. Let me show how it works. But before doing that, of course, you have to select a hard disk. In my case, I have this external HDD reader, which I'm gonna use because everything else is already used. All ports are being used by hard disks in my computer, well, as I'm using them for SC Prime, Chia mining and so on, so it requires a little bit of space. Actually, as much as possible. Connected, and now turn it on. So like I mentioned before, software name is Macrium Reflect, and it has a free edition for home use, which is very great. So once you open the software, you will get the list of disks that are available on your computer. In this case it's gonna be letter G. As we can see, the drive C is on the first line. Let's select the option clone disk, select the disk. This is the disk we want to use. You should be extra careful when selecting the drive you want everything to be copied, because partitions will be deleted and the data will be moved and copied to this drive. So that means no other data will remain on the drive. This is how the software works. You can't just copy everything to some kind of folder inside your hard disk. No. It will copy, it will clone everything. In case your system went down, you can just take that hard disk, select it, cables, and the system will boot up as it was booting before from this new disk. That's why I recommend you to use a separate disk. Tried once to copy the files, like just copy the files and so on, and it was taking like eternity for the files to be copied, because there are tons of the small files and it takes hell a lot of time and mistakes and so on and so on. Why? This is why I really recommend you to use the software like this, the specialized software for copying, for cloning your hard disk. And that's basically all. The software, the program will do its job. It will create a copy of your disk on the external another hard disk, so you will have it. Now you have to be a little bit patient. It will take a couple of minutes, like 10 or maybe 20 or something like that, but well, there are, like I mentioned before, many small files, and if you try to copy it would take much longer time. So it takes a little bit of time, not too much, but yeah, it takes. So now you just leave it until everything is completed, and your server is ready to go. So these are two main things I recommend for everyone to do on their server for the more fluent backup or prevention of the downtime and so on. Because, for example, in SC Prime project, if your server is down for like 1 day or something like that, you will not get incentives, and you might even get the penalties for your data to be not available for the users to download it. That's why it's really important that your server would be running 24/7 all the time without the downtimes. As we are not the server experts and we are not hosting the farm of the servers and so on, we are just hosting some small server on our computer at our homes. We are not that kind of a specialist that maintains and checks everything every day and doubles the data and so on and so on and so on. So these are two steps. If you have any more steps or any more advice what to do for your server to be running smoothly, or update and get it back online if it crashes, please leave that in the comment field below. I would be really curious to know. If you had any issues with your server, something like this, on your project, on your crypto projects, I also would be really interested to hear about that as well. What happened? How you solved it? Was it like a huge downtime or just a small one? Were you able to find the solution quickly or not so much? Because when the battery went out, I was like totally forgotten that I could not even thought that the battery could run out of the juice. I mean, that small 3 volts battery, and that would mess up the BIOS and the loading of the system. I have never imagined something like that, and actually I never had issue like that. Well, most likely because on my personal computer I have not changed many BIOS settings, and if it just loads the default settings, it's usually just fine. In this case, nope, I have some tweaks and so on the BIOS. That's why it was important, and that's why it crashed. Now I know. So please leave your comments. If you like this video, hit that like button, and until the next time. And if you are wondering why I have this fan here and the wires coming to the outside of your computer and the fan running outside the computer, not inside the computer, like for the air ventilation and so on, so this is because I have it for my external hard disks. The one that I have connected through the USB for my Chia and hopefully for SC Prime for later on, because I thought, well, I need some kind of ventilation for them. I just move the cable through this gap. I have removed the front cover of this server, so there are some space in here and here, and I have this fan. So it's blowing the wind towards that direction, and it cools down my hard disks quite well, I would say. And it's small and it's portable, so I don't need any like big, noisy, huge fan for my hard disks to be cooled. And for my M2 drive, I also had some more coolant, like radiator for it to be cooled. Once I cover this one, the air flows through one direction to another one. That's why I basically don't need any like this fan to be inside. And this is how I cool my external hard disks without many efforts. Of course, I have only 3 of them at the moment, so if you have more or you have a bigger setup, most likely you will not, this kind of ventilator will not be enough. But this is for my setup and it works just perfect. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, cheers!